Trade deadline, as of this recording, is in 4 days. Really, no trades have happened. So we are going to give our biggest buyer and seller of the trade deadline. And hopefully these teams buy and sell a lot. I really hope that the trade deadline is busy. I know like the big thing will be Giannis, but I really hope there are a couple minor like borderline all-stars. I kind of hope that MPJ gets moved, even though I think the sources are saying the Nets are not thinking about trading MPJ, which is fair. You know, he's playing amazing.
Yeah, I don't dislike
And they're
that.
still losing. They're still losing with him. So
Yeah.
imagine him with another guy, and then they could sign someone in free agency because they have so much money coming in.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let's start with you, Cam. Who is the biggest buyer?
My
trade
biggest
deadline?
buyer at the trade deadline is the Toronto Raptors. Now, the Toronto Raptors have been really good this year with that core of Scotty Barnes, Emmanuel Quickley, Brandon Ingram. RJ Barrett has hardly played, but you'd imagine that he'd be a positive on the court. Their team play has been good. They've had guys contributing like Jamal Shed, Colin Murray Boyles. They have a really good team. They do lack a superstar. Really good teams, maybe they do make it to the NBA Finals. Maybe they do win the NBA Finals. I don't know. The Pacers really changed a lot of people's perspective on that last year, but Tyrese Halliburton, he's that guy. I'm sorry. He is that guy. And maybe Scotty Barnes can be that guy. Maybe Brandon Ingram can be that guy. But the Raptors do have a lot of assets that just aren't providing them with as much as assets they could trade for would be. Like RJ Barrett hasn't played most of this season. Now, is RJ Barrett a really good player? Yeah. Could you get someone for an RJ Barrett who fits the role of your team a little bit better? I think so as well. I think the Raptors fall beneath the category of true contender in the East right now, especially with the way Cleveland has been playing as of late. They're starting to ramp up. The Pistons have been good all year. The Knicks have been good all year. The Celtics have been good all year, and they potentially get Jason Tatum back in the playoffs.
So you're saying the Raptors are not a true contender right now?
I think the Raptors fall into the category of a team that is going to be a hard out in the playoffs, but not a team that I see as being one of the top teams in the East competing for an NBA championship. And I think they can be very easily with a couple of moves.
Okay. And what are those couple moves?
Well,
What's an idea? of who
obviously,
they're-
Giannis Antetokounmpo has said the Toronto Raptors are one of his preferred trade destinations. If you have the opportunity to get Giannis and put him on that Raptors team, that is beautiful. Do it immediately, right? Give up RJ Barrett, give up whatever picks, make the trade for Giannis immediately, right? Another guy that would really benefit this team, and it would be a tough fit next to Brandon Ingram potentially, but Michael Porter Jr. adds an element of shooting and shot making to that team that they just don't have from a lot of positions. Brandon Ingram is their only true shot creator on offense a lot of the time. Scotty Barnes doesn't need the ball in his hands to be truly elite. He is, like we said, a version of Draymond Green that is offensively better right now. And I think MPJ is a guy that could serve to benefit them a lot. And I don't know. I'm kind of just looking through these teams and thinking about who they could make a trade for. Jared McCain is a guy whose trade value has declined. Now that's a low risk, high reward move where, yeah, he might just be bad, but if he comes back to his, last year self and style of play with a change of scenery where he gets more opportunity, that's an offensive kick off the bench that you've been sorely
wouldn't
missing.
want
with the
someone a
Toronto
bit more
Raptors.
proven?
You could want some. I'm just saying, like, these are moves you could make. Do you have a move in mind for the Toronto Raptors? Like, out of curiosity.
I do have them as one of my biggest buyers for sure. I do think the East, there's a lot of really good teams, but it is kind of wide open right now because the Pistons are so they don't have much playoff experience.
Right, they're
and the
unproven,
other teams. Yeah.
you know?
So if I were the Raptors, honestly, I think I'd try and get more proven bench players. I do like the idea of trading RJ for someone who fits more. I'd probably pick though another defender. I like the idea of MPJ. Obviously Giannis, right? I like the idea of MPJ, but it is like Ingram at the 2, Scotty Barnes at the 3 or 4, MPJ
It's
at
a
the 3 or 4.
big
It's a
lineup, and
huge
you
line-
don't. I mean, you remember when the Raptors tried to run that like massive lineup a couple years ago?
Yeah.
That was just like pretty much all guys 6'6" or taller.
So that's their thing now, which
that
is
is-
cool. I think there's probably a couple guys they could get like a scoring punch. Do they? Yeah, they don't have a scoring punch off the bench right now.
They really don't.
It's like Grady Dick. So I would probably try and buy in on Bleak Monk.
That was actually, I was going to say, so we can get to the Kings later because I will be talking about them, but I think call up the Kings. They've got a lot to offer in terms of offensive firepower. I mean, Malik Monk, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, these are all guys that are offensive guys.
You can get a Chris Middleton. You can get a
Do I get a Chris Middleton at this point in his career, though? I know he's a proven guy, but he does seem to have...
you can get a Russ.
I love Russ, man, but that team needs spacing, and Russ is not going to provide you with
Yeah,
that.
it's not crazy. Sadiq Bey.
I like
You can
Sadiq
get
Bey.
a Jordan Poole. You can get a
like Jordan Poole.
There's a good amount of players on. I can't speak. That are going to probably be traded at the deadline because they're not being utilized correctly. But yeah, no, I like the Raptors. I think they probably should because I don't see this core. I think they have a couple good young players like Colin Murray Boyles, Jacoby Walter, Scotty Barnes is young. RJ's like kind of young, but like I just don't see them growing and being like if they don't make moves, they're not just going to all of a sudden be a 1 or 2 seed.
No, and maybe if this was a couple of years ago, I would say wait for Scotty Barnes to develop more. But Scotty Barnes has kind of developed into the player he's going to be, which is a really good player. He just has never become a 25 point per game guy, and that's totally okay. There are so many great players in the NBA that don't average 25 points a game. It's an unfortunate thing that we make our standard of how good a player is, how many points they average. But you do still need to score in the NBA to win games. So I was actually looking at a team, and obviously you can't just give up RJ Barrett for this guy, but maybe the Jazz are looking at Keontae George and they say, hey, you're our scorer of the future. You're our guy. Hey, we got this young team. We got, Ace Bailey, who we want to get more burn. We still maybe believe in him. We're going to have, no, they don't have their draft pick this year, right?
The Jazz?
Do they? I feel like for some
They
reason
have it. So the Thunder technically own it, but it's 1 through 8 protected.
So if they're the top 8 team, which it looks like they're going to be, they're going to have their draft pick, so they're going to get a good guy in the draft. Lauri Markkanen might be on the table. And you know what? I like MPJ a lot, but fit-wise, I like Lauri Markkanen more on the Raptors. I think you can put him at the 4 pretty easily, or even run a lineup where you have him at the 5 and run this like sort of mid-sized spacing lineup, because Scotty Barnes is a good enough rebounder to get away with even running Scotty Barnes at the 5 in a defensive role, and then Lauri Markkanen at the 5 in an offensive role. And he adds a level of spacing and shot creation that MPJ also adds, maybe a little bit worse, but it's a guy that fits a little bit better onto your team as constructed. I really
It's not
like
crazy.
that
It's just they wouldn't really have the guy, like Ingram's really good, Scotty Barnes really good, Lauri Markkanen really good. Is that kind of the core? Because you'd be giving up a lot. I feel like Lauri Markkanen.
To me right now, Lauri Markkanen is just as much of the guy as MPJ. And I do really like MPJ, but when we've seen MPJ around other good players, he has not been the guy. When we see Lauri Markkanen around other good players as he's been this year, at least scoring-wise, people that take the ball out of his hands, he's still been pretty good. So I think that there's only one guy on the market right now, and that's Giannis. So if you're not getting Giannis, which it's very likely 29 teams aren't going to get Giannis. Very likely that 29 teams aren't going to get Giannis. I don't know what I say sometimes.
28 teams, really. I mean, the Bucks can't.
That's
get
true. Yeah, the
Giannis.
Giannis can't get fucked. Dude, I'm gonna. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I think. Do you just not? My opinion, why the Raptors are my biggest seller at buyer. Why the Raptors are my biggest buyer at the trade deadline is because I think even if they can't get Giannis, they should still look to improve their team and become championship contenders this year.
Okay. I mean, I could definitely see that. I also kind of stayed away from the Western Conference for biggest buyers. I think there's some teams in the West who can buy and make themselves more of contenders, but let's be real. The Nuggets and OKC, they're looking unstoppable, both of them. So I don't know how much you want to fully go in right now. So I went with another East team, the Philadelphia 76ers. Because of this little conspiracy that, yes, Joel Embiid has been the one taking the drugs, and he's been looked amazing. Tyrese Maxey's looked amazing. Paul George, hopefully after the 25-game suspension, can go back to a little bit of his former self. Now, that is asking for a lot. But you know what? This season, he has not been too bad at all. They have Edgecombe. They just have a bunch of guys, and I really think that if Joel Embiid could just take the leap of being amazing in the playoffs, like he hasn't been proven to, but hopefully he can. If you're holding on to Joel Embiid still, then you're hoping he can. I think they should buy in and really try and win the championship this year.
Yeah, I like that a lot too.
So,
And then,
I made a list of some of the players I think that they should target because I don't think they should make a big move, personally. Paul George is unmovable. You cannot move that Paul George.
Oh, especially at this point.
Yeah. You don't want to give up, because even though I want them to go all in, you're not trading Edgecombe. You're not trading Maxey. Like, these are your young guys, and they're going to be here for a while.
Unless you literally get Giannis.
Which, there actually was a source saying they wouldn't trade Edgecombe for Giannis, I think. Which I think is pretty stupid, because you can get Giannis, Joel Embiid, and Maxey.
These teams value their young players too much, I think.
I know, Edgecombe's cool, but there's no promise of some sort of all-star.
I want to go back to something you even said briefly about you don't want the Hawks to trade that pick for Giannis because you want Darren Peterson. You could have Giannis. You could have a top 25 guy in NBA history, and you don't want that guy. You want Darren Peterson instead. To me, that's silly. I think you have a proven guy right there on the table, ready to compete for your team right now, and you would rather take a chance on a rookie that you don't know anything about.
Giannis has like 3 years left, and this core sucks. Okay, we're the 10 seed. We're under the Chicago Bulls. I'm sorry. Giannis is like coming to this team and making us a championship, like or making us. He'll make us a contender for sure. But think about it. Then now Giannis has to fight the hole that the Hawks are already in. We might be a play-in team with Giannis Antetokounmpo. Giannis doesn't even want that. How happy will he be in Atlanta? I don't know. Anyways, that's a little off topic. But yes, I do believe that they won't trade any of their starting lineup. So, well, 4 of their 5 starting lineup guys in Paul George, Edgecombe, Maxey, and Embiid. I feel like that's pretty solidified. So I made a list of players that I think would fit pretty well. I do think it's their defense that is a big problem. So I do have them getting some defensive guys. One guy, Ayo Dosunmu. I don't know if you have the Bulls as seller. I forget if I do. I don't remember.
I have them as one of my top sellers.
But Ayo Dosunmu is shooting 44% from 3 this season. You actually pointed that out to me.
Insane.
So he's been amazing. Malik Monk, Najee Marshall. They could honestly. I was looking at their bench and they have Drummond and they have a couple guys who are like decent backup bigs. But I feel like they could use like a really good backup big. So it's a little risky. But if Robert Williams III is on the table, then I would trade for him. Herb Jones, Tari Eason, Keon Ellis, Justin Champagny, DeAnthony Melton, Torian Prince, just a bunch of guys who can make threes and can play defense, and that's their role because they have a bunch of star guys. Edgecombe can have the ball in his hands. Paul George, ball in his hands. Embiid, ball in his hands. Maxey, ball in his hands. So it's a bunch of guys who don't need that. I even put Patrick Williams. Look, man, 40% from 3, just sit in that corner. I don't know. Sit in that corner and look pretty. Jose Alvarado.
Patrick Williams, the hate. Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to hate on Patrick Williams because he's bad, but you never. Maybe he just needs a change of scenery. It's the Chicago Bulls.
It's just interesting to me because I saw someone say something. I don't want to get too distracted, but they said he didn't ask to be a lottery pick, and that's true.
He said that?
No, he didn't say that.
Oh.
No, dude, if he said that, that would be crazy. No, he didn't say that. Someone else said that about him, and it did make me think this guy didn't ask to be drafted that high. The Bulls reached on him. He didn't end up being as good as he was supposed to be. That's not on him. You can't hate on a player for being the player that they are too much. The team drafted him where they drafted him.
I mean, he kind of literally showed this at Florida State. He was a 10-point per game guy at Florida State.
And they still decided to take a chance on him. Sometimes chances don't pay off.
Yeah. And then a couple other guys, Kyle Anderson, KCP, Vince Williams, and then I had Andrew Wiggins even being potentially. Wiggins is probably the higher end guy of for some reason the Heat decided to sell, which I actually, they were on my list. I didn't choose them or anything to be my top 2 teams. But Wiggins would be a really good fit next to, I think, Paul George. And,
he would be. I just don't see the Miami Heat selling. I had the same thought too of they probably should sell, but with
they're for sure selling Khalil Ware.
Yeah, with Spo's perspective on Khalil, but that means they're not really sellers. They're trying to buy into something better for winning now.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Khalil Ware has been one of the best rookies out of last year's class, and they're looking to trade him already. I mean, if you've watched this podcast, you know we're both high on Khalil Ware. I think Khalil Ware has the chance to be one of the better players, especially one of the better big men in the NBA in the next 5 years. He has all the tools necessary to do it. And for whatever reason, the Miami Heat and him, there's no connectivity. They're not getting along, and it is odd to see Spoelstra kind of beef with a player, much in the same way Steve Kerr does with Kuminga, because Eric Spoelstra is a guy who's been such a good coach for such a long time, and you don't see him beef with players very often because that Heat culture you have to buy into it to be there, and I frankly, I just don't really even understand what's going on. It's kind of odd, but
yeah. So Khalil Ware, by the way, they played the Bulls in back-to-back games. He played 3 minutes the first game, and the Heat lost. And then he played a bunch of minutes the second game, and he played amazing, and the Heat won by 30. So
it must be a personality thing. That's the only thing I can think of.
So. Well, Spo even said, in that interview, or one of the interviews, that he thinks Khalil Ware is playing bad on purpose. But I think maybe a reporter brought that up and he's saying it's not crazy, but I don't think that's the case.
Which, to be fair, yes, Bam Adebayo is a really good player. He's been an all-star level player the last few years. But if you're Khalil Ware and you're playing as good as you're playing and you look ahead of you and you see Bam Adebayo still playing the way he's playing and getting all these minutes over you, that'd be frustrating. But you can't put your head in the sand and just not play. You still have to play and show the kind of player that you are. And you should, because Khalil Ware, you're an amazing player. I want to see you succeed.
Yeah. And then who's your biggest seller?
My biggest seller is a team that from the beginning of this season I had no faith in, and I said needed to blow up their roster because they are holding on to nothing and they have a nothing team. And that is the Sacramento Kings. The Sacramento Kings currently sit at number 15 in the West. They have the worst record in the NBA, and they still have the entire roster, which has pretty much been healthy all year, that they constructed to be a winning roster.
I wouldn't say all year. Sabonis has been out a good amount this season.
You still have Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Russell Westbrook, Malik Monk, Keegan Murray. You still have all the guys that you put together on this team to win. You should not be 15th in the West because Domantas Sabonis is hurt.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
How many
but
games has he played this season?
18.
Okay, so that's not that very many games, right?
But he is their best player.
Yeah, but
Well, he should be. Actually, he's been playing bad this season.
like that's what I'm saying. He should be their best player, but he's also been marginally their best player this year, if he has been. Honestly, their best player this year might be Russell Westbrook.
Oh, no, I would not say. I'd say DeRozan's still been good.
DeRozan's been good.
DeRozan's been a good player. He's been their best player.
Let's not hate on Russ. Russ has been good too.
I'm the one saying that they should trade Russ to a contender, but he's not been good. I mean, I think he'll give some leadership and some hope, maybe. I don't know. DeRozan's averaging 19 points per game, 50, 34, 87 splits.
That's fine. Here's my thing. So the Kings, because of the way they've constructed this roster, have a lot of pieces that don't contribute to winning on that roster, but they are good pieces. Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Domantas Sabonis, Russell Westbrook, Malik Monk, a lot of guys who are older, who don't fit the timeline of any younger guys on that team that they might want to hold on to. And you could even make the argument that them selling at the deadline might hurt their tanking chances, but I still think they should do it. I think it is time for the Kings to buy in to a full rebuild, and what a better time to do it than right now when you have 3-4 guys sitting in the next year's draft that could be the number one pick in a number of the previous drafts that we've had. This is the time to do it. You need to sell all these players, get every asset you can, get ready to build for the future around a Darren Peterson, an AJ DeBonsta, a Cam Bruiser, any of those guys, right?
Yeah.
So
any of them, Caleb Wilson, like even like
Caleb Wilson, Koa Pete, and like any of these guys that have been good this year.
Yeah.
You
so
know,
I definitely agreed. They were my number one team. So I'll move on to my number two, who should have been number one. But the Kings are actually that bad. The obvious pick is the Milwaukee Bucks. They should be selling everything. It just kind of sucks that they don't get the best of their pick, potentially. Or not potentially, but probably. But yeah, Giannis is gone. I had a list. Let me pull it back up. But they have a lot of players that they can sell on, but it's not good players. I mean, there's a reason that the Giannis is asking out. It's because they don't have good players. So they have Bobby Portis. They have Bobby Portis. They have Kyle Kuzma. They have Gary Trent Jr. They have Torian Prince. But then they do have the most interesting one besides Giannis. They have Miles Turner. There's been sources coming out recently that have been saying that a lot of teams are going in depth of the film of Miles Turner to see if they want to trade for him because peak Miles Turner had the trade value. It's just the Pacers never wanted to trade him. He was on the trade block for like 5 years in a row for being... Actually, no, I'm sorry. He wasn't on the trade block, but he was in trade rumors for 5 years because every team wanted him. It's just, it would have taken so much. I think now it's kind of a buy low on Miles Turner where you'd still have to give up a good amount because he's such a prototypical good big who just made the finals last year.
No, trust me, if the Warriors don't get Giannis, I'd still want them to go pursue Miles Turner. I think he's a good fit. He provides a lot. He's been playing good as of late.
But I feel like there has to be one team who gets tricked by Bobby Portis. There has to be one team who wants a Kyle Kuzma. I actually think, this might sound crazy, but I really don't think it's crazy. I think Kyle Kuzma should be on the OKC Thunder at the deadline. I think he's a better basketball player than Dort, and I feel like they'd get that secondary shot creation outside of stupid J-Dub.
That's actually that's so gross. I mean, it doesn't
but
fit
last
the
time we
identity
saw
of their.
Kuzma
It doesn't fit their identity of their team at all.
Kuzma can buy in. He was on that championship Lakers team. I think Kuzma can buy in. I think that under Doc Rivers, I was stupid for even thinking there was a chance Kyle Kuzma could buy in.
Yeah,
but they have a good coach. They have a guy who's going to help him. And I don't know, like I feel like if you're not a literal cone, I feel like anyone could go on the Thunder, and all of a sudden they're going to learn good defensive habits and things like that. And you're going to be better than Dort. Mm-hmm. I hate J-Dub because he's corny, but he's a really good player, and he's obviously their secondary shot creator.
Oh, yeah.
So then Kuzma would be the third shot creator on the team.
Yeah.
But my hatred for Dort is one, how dirty he is and how bad he is at basketball. I literally think he's not good.
I don't think he's. I still
think
he's still a good basketball player in the right circumstances. I just think, honestly, what it is, I think the Oklahoma City Thunder might have just outgrown Lou Dort. As odd as that may sound, I think their roster may have outgrown the need for a Lou Dort.
Everyone who's a similar defender is better offensively than him.
So I think he can still serve a good role on a different team that needs that defense, but it's just not the Thunder. My only thing about the Bucks is, can you really be sellers when what you're selling has no value for when you have it? Like, it has no value to Kyle Kuzma, Bobby Portis.
Get a couple second rounders for everyone.
Yeah.
That's better than having Bobby Portis on your team, because what you're going to get for Giannis is a bunch of young guys, hopefully, and maybe some young guys for Miles Turner as well. Give them 40 minutes a night on some 2K stuff. Like, just there's no point in playing. No, I don't think Bucks fans don't want to watch Bobby Portis.
Yeah.
So you're helping them out, and then it only takes one team to take him.
Yeah. And speaking of Giannis briefly, Knicks are apparently slowly kind of dropping out of the race for him. Stephen A. Smith apparently changed his position on Giannis going to the Knicks this morning. So that's an interesting development. The Bucks are also making counter offers in the trade talks. So these next few days should be when something happens. I mean, obviously the trade deadline's Thursday, so of course it's going to have to happen in the next few days. But I think we're going to get a really solidified view of like 3 teams that we need to look for Giannis, and by the end of today, hopefully.
Yeah.
You know.
Hopefully he actually gets traded. If he doesn't get traded, I will be so.
I'll be disappointed
because then he's just being wasted, and also I'm a Hawks fan and we have their pick. But like, does Giannis? I don't even want to get into it because Giannis will be traded. There's no shot he isn't.
I think so.